thing up?
Yeah, I'll get polls up. Hello, everybody. Argent here. We're live, so we're just going to be talking a bit about the French election. And because I'm a professional, I'm not actually sure if it's even happening at the moment. So let's see here. So yeah, so
It says that you're online.
What?
It looks like you're online.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead. What you're gonna say?
What about being online?
I think you are online.
Yeah, I just hit the button.
Okay.
So let's see here. Looking at the recent polls, it still looks like Macron and Le Pen are going to be in the runoff. Le Pen has been holding steady at 23%, and Macron has been holding steady at 24%.
That's a little worst option.
Macron
and Le Pen.
Yeah, he wants to tax all income over 400,000 euros.
Mélenchon is at 19 and Fillon is at 19. So it's all within the margin of error at this point, basically.
But Macron, sorry.
So like how polls work is it's plus or minus a certain amount. So that's 953. So that's like plus or minus like 3%. So what that really is for Macron, that's like 22 to 26. Le Pen is like 21 to 25, etc. So it's within the margin of error. It depends how much tactical voting there is. I think it's way too close to call. If I was a betting man, I would definitely say Le Pen will make the second round. I can't see that not happening.
The worst option is Macron Le Pen, or Le Pen Macron, because it's believed that the upper class will all vote for him in the second round and she'll lose.
Mm-hmm.
Mélenchon, Le Pen's the best bet.
Yeah.
But remember, Fillon would probably be transferred to Le Pen, and maybe this other third-party candidate was like 4%. I forget who he is.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly think the only candidate that Le Pen could win against is Mélenchon. I think she'd lose against Fillon or Macron.
She would win against Hamon.
Well, Hamon's not going to make it to
the
second round. But I was looking at something. I think it's 46% of young French vote in Front National. And keep in mind, they don't take ethnic statistics in France. So that's probably like 70% of like actual French people vote National Front. So I do think even if, because I can't see Le Pen winning, and I've been saying this for months, but this is a point you've frequently made, sir, that at this point in time, the far right's not going to win anything. But if they can become the largest party by like a plurality in various countries, it will destabilize the political system if they have no representation.
Yeah, exactly. There's a legislative election after the presidential election too.
Then the Front National will probably get like virtually no seats.
Yeah, because isn't there a runoff system with their elections too? I mean, think of what happens if Macron is president and then the de Gaullists are controlling all the regional seats. How unstable is that system going to be? I mean, the current French system right now is unstable as all.
Let's see here. The seat projections
yeah.
Sorry?
It'll just become, all these systems are just going to become more and more unstable as they refuse to give right-wing parties any seats or work together with them.
The last projection, which is completely inaccurate because it's from June of last year, predicts an overwhelming victory for the center right.
Well, Le Pen, I think she might win, assuming because Filion, he's a center right candidate, and Filion supporters would rather back Le Pen according to many polls than Macron.
I mean, is
It's kinda in the
Filion
air.
even that bad? I mean, everyone is he that bad for like a center right conservative candidate?
The media hates him more. The media attacks him more than they actually attack Le Pen. They constantly generate scandals and stuff to attack him as if he was Donald Trump in the last election here.
I mean, he's a lot better than Sarkozy, isn't he?
In the Gaulle center right circles, I think he's the far right of them. But he's very pro-European Union and stuff like that.
He's anti-Muslim immigration, though, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, it would not be optimal, but I think it would be a lot better if he won as opposed to Marcon, because Marcon is, like, the worst. I would vote for the fucking commies before I'd vote for Marcon. Now, with regards to, what's his name, Melancon, is his party, like, left-wing nationalist, or what's their deal?
They're anti-globalist socialist.
What's their position on immigration?
I haven't looked into it. I know that he's a coalition of various far left parties and left of the normal socialist parties in France.
But they are called unsubmissive France, which seems to imply to me at least that they're left-wing nationalist. So let's see here: eco-socialism, left-wing populism, environmentalism, anti-globalism, Euroscepticism. I know they sound less bad than Marcon, to be perfectly honest.
Their economic policies are awful. I'd rather have Marcon, to be honest, than him.
Raising the minimum wage. Let's see here. Yeah, it's a weird election because he just surged into the leadership at like as to one of the four at the last minute. But we really have no idea what's going to happen because, like I said, all four candidates are in the margin of error. If I was a betting man, I'd bet on Marine Marcon, and I'd bet on Marcon winning. I'm sorry to say. I'm not trying to blackpill. Every indication I've seen, that's probably what's going to happen. They're both ahead by like 3% points, which is once again not a ton. I guess it also depends how much tactical voting there's going to be, because I could see some of I think just looking at this, I could see some of Melanchon's people swinging to Le Pen, but not to Marcon or Filion. And I could see Filion's people swinging to Le Pen, but not to anyone else. Maybe to Marcon a bit. Why is Marcon considered like a centrist? I guess because he's not as economically left-wing as some people.
Probably. I'm checking out the polling averages. I'm going to probably make a conclusion on what I think Le Pen's final support will be. So, give me a bit.
I'm not seeing what Le Pen's chances are. If I was a betting man, I'd say virtually zero. I'm sorry to be blackpilled. I think
for Le Pen, sorry, I'm back. It's just something that happened. For Le Pen, you say the chances are 0?
Yes.
I'd say 1 out of 5.
20%? Yeah.
I would say I think she's going to win the first round. I'm actually like weirded out that I think that the communist guy is stealing Le Pen's votes.
Yeah, I think so too.
And that's horseshoe theory and stuff, and that's weird, and you would think, but it's not as weird as it's not actually that weird, but essentially I think that it's possible for the win against Macron, but something would have to happen in between, something major.
Hello?
Which I
there
think
could
is
be more
possible.
terrorist attacks.
I think that there might even be terrorist attacks responding if she wins the first round.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, Horace.
Oh, it's finally working. Thank God. Jesus.
So I do think I think if a Western, and I said this for a while, I think if a Western European country collapses into civil war or mass political violence, I've been saying for a while, I think France is the most likely candidate. Because it has the largest Muslim population, but it also, I think, has arguably the strongest far right of a Western European country. Or is that even arguable?
Yeah, it's, I mean,
Maybe Denmark has a slightly stronger one, depending on.
I think that France has the strongest one because you have to realize, look, the Front National, when it was even further right, still had a bigger following than like UKIP does now. In like the 80s, in the 2000 election, he got into the second round.
Yeah, like I think they've long been the largest political party, single political party in France. And they're actually pretty edgy. Like they aren't like UKIP. They're like substantially to the right of UKIP.
They're more edgy when Le Pen's father was in control.
Anti-Semitism. Yeah.
See, I don't know how edgy Marine is, because I could see like part of this just being her being pragmatic to try to get elected. But yeah, needless to say, I'm just not sure.
It says that he's pro-immigration. The what is his name? Melancon?
I call him Melancon.
Melancon? Yeah, it says that he is for the easing of immigration laws.
I gotta say, this is a weird election because two of the major players, one wants to leave the European Union, the other one wants to leave NATO.
I mean, France has periodically left NATO. De Gaulle basically withdrew France from NATO. I think people have to understand France has always been like probably the most nationalistic country in Western Europe. And that's just been pretty consistent since the French Revolution. Because keep in mind, they were one of two countries to reject the EU constitution. And also the far right in France is a bit different from the far right in other countries. Sorry, far left. Sorry, the far left in France is a little bit different.
Well, I mean, there's a distinguishable like far left, as in like actual state socialists that aren't, multiculturalist state or neoliberals with a welfare state.
I think there is more of like a nationalist socialist movement in France compared to some other countries. It's interesting because actually the French Communist Party was against feminism for a really long period of time. Because they viewed it as bourgeoisie. Actually, the Communist Party of France actually won, I think, at least one election.
Well, they have more seats. I think they actually have more seats than Front National, don't they?
Yes, they do. So is southern France the most right-wing part of the country?
Yes.
Isn't Brittany?
It depends on what you mean by right wing. If you're talking about like conservative, like social conservative, yes. If we're talking about pro Front National, it'd probably be the Northeast.
Let me let me see if there is I think there's a regional breakdown. Let me see where the Front National is doing the best.
He won the most in southern France.
Okay, let me see here.
Oh no, Eastern. Sorry.
Okay, yes, the National Front is leading in southern France. Where is it the highest? The highest is actually northern France is where it's the highest.
Yeah, because that's the old industrial base of France. Ever since the whole globalization things got going, they suffered pretty badly. It's like the Rust Belt in the United States today, or Hamilton in Canada.
The Azure Coast, the National Front's also very pro. I know it seems like, as with most countries, everywhere outside of the like major metropolitan area is right wing. That's pretty much true for like I think pretty much every country. It's hard for me to even think of one where that's not the case.
So crush the urbanite.
Yeah, no, Brittany is the most left-wing part of France.
Oh, I guess I was wrong.
Brittany is like 30% Marcon. Brittany and central France is left-wing. It's kind of funny if you look at a map of Italy, because northern Italy is right-wing and southern Italy is right-wing, but central Italy is like communist, like openly communist. Let's see here.
Do you guys think Mark Kahn's a homosexual?
Well, is he a confirmed cuck or?
He
Well, okay.
married a woman that's 20 years older than him.
Yeah, as high school teacher, and he has no kids of his own. Only
Oh.
kids from her previous marriage.
He probably is.
Okay, so the most recent poll from yesterday, in a runoff between Marine Le Pen and Mélenchon, it would be 54 to 646, which is basically the margin of error.
Well, I
So-
mean, I think it's like 1 to 5. I think it's doable, but I mean, I think it's hard, like really hard.
If she was facing Mélenchon?
Oh, not Melicon?
No, I'm talking about Mélenchon.
Oh, sorry.
I think
Sound
she
like bull-
Mélenchon.
Emblem.
I can't see her beating Marcon. She might stand a ghost of a chance against Filion, but it's going to be hard. It depends
No,
how
I
the
think she
far left
loses
vote
if
breaks.
she's doomed if she goes against Filion.
I don't think it's as bad against Marcon.
No, I think Marcon is an easier opponent than Filion.
Really?
Because no one would switch off of Filion. All the leftists would join Filion against her.
Does some of the far left maybe vote for her?
Maybe some of the far left, but if she because that's what happened in 2000 is that her dad got against Sarkozy or whatever. I think it was Sarkozy or somebody else in 2000.
Jacques Chirac.
Yeah, and her dad got slaughtered, and every single person that didn't vote for her dad in the first round voted for Chirac. So Fillon is the absolute you lose, game over. Marcon is like you lose 4 out of 5 times, and then she probably would win against Mélenchon.
Yeah, Marine Le Pen. Jean-Marie Le Pen got 18% of the vote in the runoff.
But he was like polling at like 15%.
Yeah.
That's weird. Let me check this for a sec. He was polling at like 13%, yet he got about 16.68% in the runoff. No, not the runoff, the first round. So that's like a 4% difference.
Anyways, the whole thing I think is I don't know. As I've said, a lot of people are like, "Oh, Marine Le Pen is going to win." I wish she would. I just can't see it happening.
What happens if she wins, though? Like, what will happen to France if she wins with no legislature?
What do you think? What do you think about will the, because I think it's almost guaranteed that the center right is going to win the National Assembly election. Will they work with her, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, I mean,
Perhaps.
in the beginning of Trump, they weren't working with Trump, so.
I think the Socialist Party is going to get completely slaughtered in the legislative election. I think
Good.
it's going to be a massacre.
Those guys are capital D dildo Democrats.
But no, like Philly, I think people are, like I said, I don't think he's that bad as far as like a mainstream conservative goes. He's like not that bad. I mean, it's. I don't think he'd fix the problem, but I don't think he's better than Sarkozy. He's better than. I don't know. He might be better than UKIP. I'm not sure really. Let's see here. He's in a difficult position. I could see, as you said, sir, if Marine Le Pen is almost, I think, guaranteed to make it to the runoff, I could see her winning if a bunch of riots and terrorist attacks happen in between.
Yeah, that's why I said I think it's a 1 in 5, because I think it's very possible. I mean, there's going to be some riots, and there might be some like Muslims that knife people, but there could also be like uncontrollable, like Paris starts falling apart, because these people are irrational, and they're going to get really upset when people are like, because the news is going to be like Le Pen won, Le Pen won, Le Pen won, because they're not going to be like, well, Le Pen's going to lose now. They're going to be Le Pen won, Le Pen won, Le Pen won. And that's going to cause a riot, which will actually help us.
Because that seems pretty likely. I don't know if that's guaranteed per se, but I think it's extremely likely, because like France has had Muslim riots like all the time. They've had, I think, they've had the most terrorist attacks, right?
Yes. Yes, they had the most so far. But even then, if they do riot in between, I don't think that Le Pen's going to win.
Oh, wait a minute. Here's something I think could happen. Le Pen could go off against Mélenchon, and here's why I think that. In the debate, for example, Mélenchon was seen as the most convincing. And 3 out of 4 polls in April. Le Pen actually was in 3rd place. So you get off Mélenchon against Le Pen, you would see people trying to vote for the lesser of the 2 evils. Kind of like the U.S.
Let me see if I can find any specific polls. I saw one that was like 46% of French youth are going to vote Front National. And that includes non-whites. That includes like Muzzies and stuff like that, which is a significantly large portion of the population. So I think it's probably over 50%.
Well, no, like pretty much anybody that's our age that's working class supports her.
I could see a lot of like even the middle class supporting her.
It's the middle class hates her, like the upper middle class at least.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's crude and it's vulgar, and we're enlightened and cosmopolitan.
Okay, Le Pen has, of all French voters 18 to 24, is 40%. I've seen 40 to 47%, which means like probably a substantial majority of actual French of that age group support her. But also keep in mind, I think people have to keep in mind, France is not a 2-party system. It's not even a 3-party system. It's like an 8-party system. So that's a lot more significant, because like in America, people are probably like, oh, like 50% isn't that weird. But in France, there's like of the presidential election, there's like 4 candidates that have a reasonable chance of making it to the second round, and I don't know, maybe more than that, like 5 or 6 who might get 10% of the vote. So,
You know who needs to win the second? You know who needs to win the election? Holland.
Holland is like, he's not even running.
He's not.
I know. That was a joke.
It's too bad he wasn't going to rerun, because if he was going to rerun, then he would have gotten slaughtered. But
he would have never rerun after all the terrorist attacks and that fiasco with his super tax on the rich. He has no popularity left. He expended all of his political capital.
at least fucking Sarkozy isn't running again.
How many times did he run?
He ran a lot of times. He was shit. Let's see here. Does France have any regional separatist parties?
Is there a Corsica party or
There might be. I don't know. Radical Party of the Left. National Center of Independence and Peasants. Territories in Movement. Another weird thing about France is how its remaining overseas territories can vote. Let's see. But no, it's going to be a fucking mess, regardless of how the election goes. As we've said, I think there could be... Eventually, do you think that the right will just give up in France on elections? Do you think it might be the first country where they just give up?
What do you mean give up? They'll just like try to overthrow the government militarily?
Well, they tried that once in 1932, I believe. But then the left crushed them. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Because France historically has had the biggest right. I find France swings between far left and far right more than just about any country in Western Europe. It's very unstable. I mean, it has the largest, I think, the largest traditional Catholic movement on earth, but also one of the highest positive atheism rates on earth. So you have this polarization that is worse than pretty much any other country in Western Europe. Let's see here. What else is going on? Oh, right. I guess maybe just take a moment to refer to the UK election. I don't know if everybody's heard about it yet.
IUK.
Sorry?
IUK. What's that?
No, the United Kingdom.
Oh, United Kingdom.
They've announced an election.
Why did she do that?
I think because the Conservative Party just kind of squeaked through last time. Like, they have a majority. Okay, because for the House of Commons, for a majority, you need 326 seats. And
Yes.
the Tories currently have 330 seats. So it's extremely slim. So while Sorry?
So are they banking on the fact that Corbyn is just such an unlikable human being that they're going to gain more seats from that?
Yeah, well, here's another thing.
After Brexit.
Oh, I was going to say it has to do with Brexit because in the United Kingdom, you have to have an election every 5 years, but you can call an election whenever you want if you're in power. So if what would happen is when they Brexit, if they just went on the election from 2015, they'd be done with Brexit right before the election starts, so it might cause a mild depression or not depression, or recession. So that would destroy them, and then all of a sudden the Labour Party would try and undo Brexit, right? So if they have 5 years from where Brexit starts and Brexit ends, and then they have 3 years after Brexit ends, then they can create a boom. You kind of see what I'm saying?
That makes
also,
sense.
Theresa May has not won an election as the head of the party. So if she wins an election as the head of the Conservative Party, it'll give her a lot more legitimacy. and she can claim it as a mandate to go ahead with Brexit. I don't know that much about her, but she seems committed to Brexit. So at the moment, the other reason is, let's look at the polls, because I looked at it the other day. The most recent poll is 45% conservative, 26% Labour, which in a first past the post system is going to be a complete massacre. I could see Labour losing virtually all of its seats in England. If we look at the subnational England polls, the Tories are at 50% in England to Labour's 24%. They could take basically every seat outside of London.
UKIP no longer exists, correct?
Sorry?
UKIP has been disbanded, correct?
No.
It still exists, but it's lost most of its popular support outside of Wales, bizarrely enough. I think post-Brexit, most of the UKIP members rejoined the Conservative Party.
Yeah, their purpose was served.
So I think they're trying to push the Conservative Party rightward. As I've said, honestly, I think if you're not in like a safe Labour seat, you should just vote Tory if you live in Britain, because they seem committed at this point, at least, to Brexit. And yeah, I think UKIP is basically, it might collapse and be reformed, but they kind of accomplished their mission of pushing Brexit. I mean, Brexit is not going to solve the outstanding issues, but it is a very good place to start, to be perfectly honest. It's a massive improvement over what we had previously.
If this new election goes the way for the Conservatives, and the Scottish National Party does a repeat of what they did last election by winning all the seats in Scotland, do you think that Scotland's going to eventually leave the UK?
Perhaps.
I don't know, but the Labour Party might
almost have a
like,
legal
cease
mechanism
to exist.
to do that.
No, but they want another referendum on independence.
How would they force a new one?
I assume they just asked to do it again. Quebec did.
Okay.
Okay, this is going to be a guessing game. Okay, so when people are asked who would you prefer as Prime Minister, Theresa May or Jeremy Corbyn, take a guess what the numbers are.
70-80. Sorry, 70-30.
90-10.
That's what I was gonna say.
54-15. With not 31% unsure. So she is leading by 40% over Jeremy Corbyn. That is how much people fucking hate Jeremy Corbyn. Now, I actually felt slightly bad for him over Brexit because he was a Eurosceptic for basically his entire life prior to the Brexit referendum, and he kind of got fucked on that one. So
he's an old school communist who got chosen by a neoliberal shit party. Like, he's not with the times at all. His voter base are a bunch of fat, blue-haired feminists, and there's assorted mulattoes and Asians that live all throughout the UK. He's like a dinosaur.
Asians.
And I'm using Asian specifically because of the UK.
I know.
Is he the last like white male that they could have leading the Labour Party? Is that why they elected him?
Perhaps. But you know who needs to win Ireland? The Democratic Unionist Party.
Anything other than Sinn Féin?
Especially Northern Ireland's having an election, and the Democratic Unionist Party is leading, and they're like a Eurosceptic party.
I think there's virtually a 0% chance of Wales ever leaving.
The Northern Irish Party is the Northern Irish parties. The Protestant Northern Irish parties are far to the right of all the other parties, and at least to have representation in the United Kingdom.
The DUP, I think, is still the largest party. Yeah, Northern Ireland, yes, it is. It's kind of funny because right-wing Catholics in Northern Ireland now vote for the DUP, despite the DUP being founded by, what's his name? Ian Paisley, who hated Catholics.
I would
Yes.
vote for it over fucking Sinn Féin.
No, I would vote for them too.
Sinn Féin is such a dildo party. It's disgusting. They fought for Irish independence. Now they're fighting to bring Nigerians to Dublin. It's ridiculous.
They're absolutely civic.
They're left-wing nationalism, basically.
Oh,
Sort
yeah.
of.
Nationalism by bringing over half the world's population to live in Ireland's beautiful shores.
The DUP. The DUP. It was kind of sad because I remember last election it was getting really close whether or not the Conservatives were going to get a majority, and there was talk that the DUP would be their coalition partner.
Woke. But yeah, DUP, UKIP, and Tories in a coalition was like the idea. But what do you think Lib Dems are going to increase?
Yes.
I think they're dead.
The Lib Dems?
Yeah.
I think they're going to take a lot of the
I think they're going to steal a lot of votes from Labor, and they're going to have a resurgence.
Yeah, especially among the urban youths, the university crowd.
I know. Under first past the post, though, I can't see them like getting anything. I think they're completely dead at this point.
No, I think they're gonna reemerge they're gonna have more seats than they had probably for like 20 years because they're so hardcore. Everybody that hates Brexit is going to vote for them. So they're gonna gain like 20 seats, I think.
The last poll has them at 11%.
Well, the thing is that they have certain regions of Britain that they win first past the post for traditionally.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're going to gain like 20 seats. But I think that's not very much in a system that has like 1,000 seats, right?
I think it's 600.
Oh.
650 is what the UK
Okay, well,
has.
it's still not that much in a system that has 650 seats.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, Labor might lose like literally like 80 to 100 seats.
Labor is going to be like annihilated. I don't know. At the moment, unless something really weird happens, I think the Tories may win like their biggest majority in decades. In the in England, they're polling at 50%, which is unheard of in a country that's more than a two-party system. I'm trying to remember what. Yeah, they won the last election with 37% of the vote. And they got a majority in that election. Let's see here. Let me see how many they won under Thatcher. Under Thatcher,
Lib
they
Dems
won.
had like 52 seats won in 2010. So they have lost a lot, and I think they're going to regain a lot because Labor is going to be so weak.
Okay, they are ahead of what they had under Thatcher. So if current polling trends hold. Plus, Labor is a lot weaker now, relatively speaking, than they used to be. So yeah, I think they're fucking just dead at the moment. So it looks like the right in the UK. Like, I think you also have to keep in mind it's very regional in the UK. Like in England, it's like 60-70% of the population votes for the right.
Out of Londonistan.
Yeah, well, London should be a city-state, and it should just be walled off.
Yeah, so I don't know. At this time, I'm just going to call the British election as a conservative landslide unless something like really bizarre happens. I think, though, the most likely thing in a lot of countries, though, is terrorist attacks by Muslims, and that only helps the right. I can't see that helping the left. Isn't the right surging in Sweden, actually?
Yeah, but it's going to grand coalition, and it'll create a very, very unstable system because you'll have the single biggest party by plurality surrounded by every single other party in coalition against it.
So in the latest poll, The Swedish Democrats are at 26%. And once again, keep in mind, Sweden is not a two-party system. It's like a 7 or 8-party system. So, yeah. And there will be a grand coalition that prevents them from gaining power. But once again, what we really want at this point in time is, if we can't win elections, to just destabilize the country. Do you think Hofer coming so close destabilized Austria at all?
I don't know that much about Austria because it's a smaller country and stuff, but I assume. I mean, it's got to be. I mean, it ended up the Green guy won, and the whole party, the whole country has been like almost non-democratic because it's been a single-party state of a coalition between the center left and the center right its whole existence. And you have Hofer and the Green guy like starting to come apart. Like it seems like the system is starting to fall apart.
Let's see what else is happening.
I gotta say, it seems like Francis Fukuyama really dropped the ball with the whole end of history spiel.
Yeah, that was a meme. That was a huge meme.
A shitty meme.
There's a lot of like political instability. Like South Korea's political system is falling apart because the main
please bring
party,
back a military dictatorship for those gooks. They need it.
Well, they're super gooks in South Korea.
Well, they are super gooks, but I want these upper gooks to have a military dictatorship again because it worked for them so well in the past, and now their democracy's not working very well for them. So
yeah, there's massive corruption scandals. The rightist party has basically fallen apart. It's just a fucking disaster there. Does anyone have any thoughts on Erdogan's referendum?
to quote Sam, he is one resilient cockroach.
I don't know how to feel about Erdogan because, okay, here's the thing. If he was like a Christian in the head of my country, I would fucking love him.
That's what I was thinking myself. I see the vote and I'm thinking I would vote yes if there was someone in my country who had the exact same views as him, but a Christian.
I mean, he is actually pretty based, unlike most issues. The only issue is that he's a fucking Turk and he supports ISIS.
Is there actual proof of him supporting ISIS?
I don't know. The Turks are fucking crypto Jews. Like, they're just such a manipulative group of assholes. But he is like anti-gay, he's anti-abortion, he's like pro-higher birth rate, pro like traditional gender roles. I think
if he wasn't a Turk roach, if he just wasn't a Turk roach, I could support him 100%. But like, he literally advocated that Turks in European countries have more children, so they become the largest demographic. So like, I can't support him just because it's nature. Like, I am naturally opposed to him because he is a Turk and I am a Western European man.
But no, it's funny because Turkey is like always been basically the best Muslim country.
The Armenians might disagree with that.
The who?
The Armenians.
They're not
Armenians
Muslim,
are
they're
Muslim
Christian.
country.
They're devout Christian.
Yes, they are, but I think the Armenians might disagree that the Turks are the best Muslim country.
Yeah. I mean, best in terms of like their military
Tunisia and Morocco.
Okay, I'm going to countersignal Tunisia because Tunisia is the most liberal, I guess, Arab state in the world, but it's also the highest recruiter for ISIS. I think it has to do with the divorce rates there because they are almost on Western European levels.
Norway has an election coming up, but I don't know fuck all about Norway, nor does it particularly matter. Let's see what else. There's a bunch of elections. The German election looks like it's heading into disaster territory. The support for the Alternative for Germany has kind of collapsed, and now they're down to 10%.
And SPD is going to crush it I don't even know what the fuck happens if SPD.
It's like a tie at the moment. Basically, a statistical tie between them and the Christian Democrats.
Would there be any difference in policy-wise between the two? I honestly can't see a difference between the Christian Democrats and the Social Democrats.
Yeah, it's a question. How could it be worse? And I know we always say that, and it always is worse. But how the fuck can it be worse? I kind of hope at some point the CSU just breaks off and tells the Christian Democrats to go fuck themselves and tries to make their own, like, right-wing coalition. But I don't know. The Greens. Fuck the Greens. Let's see what else is happening. There's a bunch of elections this year. Let's see. There's a New Zealand election coming up. New Zealand's funny because the far-right party in New Zealand is led by a half Maori guy.
Woke.
Hey, the Maori are based.
Yeah, he's half Maori and he fucking hates like Asians.
How about
Like East Asians.
the German election?
We were just talking about that. It's
Hey,
gonna be a disaster.
Asuka needs to become the leader of the AFD.
She does. That would solve everything. Let's see here. We have South Ossetian election. Who gives a fuck?
That's an important one.
We had the Dutch election, which was kind of a disappointment. I kind of expected it to go that way. I do think it destabilizes the country a bit. So yeah, we have the Korea needs to go back to a military dictatorship. Just while we're on here, any thoughts on the whole North Korea drama?
I think that what is going to happen is that nothing, and I don't think China is going to overthrow North Korea with America. And I basically think that what is happening is Kim Jong-un is killing like the really hardcore communists actually, or the ones that are unloyal, and then he's going to shift North Korea into like China economy strong mode and Vietnam economy strong. He's going to transition to market socialism. And the country is not going to collapse until after he dies, which may be 50 years. And then it could still keep going on. That's my view on North Korea.
If the economy like even gets to like third world levels, then it might survive.
We don't know how bad North Korea actually is.
From what I've read, it's pretty fucking
awful. Yeah, I am. When I see when you read the different stories of the refugees and stuff, they all conflict. So I don't know
understand.
What it really
I don't understand what they hope to accomplish with the sanctions. I don't understand.
It can't work unless China does them. Everything that the West does against them are ineffective because the whole country depends on China for its food.
Yeah, but the sanctions, I don't think will ever do anything. I think sanctions are a waste of time.
Well, it depends on the country.
Oh no, it depends on who's the leader though, because the foreign like all the political, the foreign affairs magazines say that Obama's sanctions against Russia crippled Russia, and Putin's going to be overthrown because a certain person had those sanctions against a certain person. But the sanctions against every other sanction that occurred in the entire history of the human race was ineffective. But Obama's sanctions against Russia, oh my God, it's going to overthrow Russia.
I think it almost always makes the situation worse, to be perfectly honest, because it just props up the current order. I think Cuba might have collapsed if not for the sanctions, like a long time ago. Let's see what's going to happen in Iran.
Hopefully nothing. Although apparently the current president's been forbidden to be able to run for re-election.
Oh, let's see. It looks like some moderate will win. I never know how to feel about Iran, to be perfectly honest.
Iran's so weird because it was like hardcore, or it was like socialist and communist in alliance with like Islamic extremists, and their system is just so weird because it's like Sunni. It's a Sunni.
Shia.
It's a Sunni.
Shia.
Or sorry, it's a Shia. Sorry, I'm tired. It's a Shia, theocracy with like socialist trappings.
Yeah, but all the communists and the socialists got purged after the revolution.
Yeah, but they're coming back. They're starting to come back, which is really interesting.
Because there was the communist faction, the Islamist faction, then there was a large kind of synthesis faction. Like so a lot of the like really hardliners are anti. So does Iran have relatively free elections, like for parliament?
I think that their elections are valid, but that the supreme leader technically has the power. Like the supreme leader has so much power, he could just say that election not real. So it's hard to decode it as a democracy.
Because I actually don't. I actually think like if their system wasn't run by like Islamists, it wouldn't be that bad. Isn't it kind of like a monarchy with representation?
Yeah, it's essentially an electoral monarchy with popular representation.
Which is basically what I kind of believe in. A strong executive branch with limited representation. Yeah, because actually, the old like the Persian Empire sounds like pretty much your perfect state. It was like a one-party monarchical technocratic government.
Woke, best country ever.
It was a one-party.
The Shah was a dingus.
It was a one-party state with the Resurgence Party, which was monarchist with fascist, populist, and secularist leanings. Although I think people have to understand in Islamic countries, all secularism means is that they don't like Sharia law isn't the constitution. It doesn't mean like what it means in Western countries. In most cases, Islam is still the state religion. It just means they don't behead people who like draw pictures of Muhammad. That's literally all of it. All it means.
They let Christians repair their churches.
That's literally what secularism means. It doesn't mean it's like a dildo country. It doesn't even mean it like bans public displays of religion. Like I think Egypt, despite being a secular country, still has like the constitution still says Islam is the state religion.
Yeah, it does.
It's always interesting, I find, when you look at Muslim countries, because I like to always think like, who would I vote for if I lived there? And like in Pakistan, for instance, there's like the super corrupt dildo Liberal Party, and then there's the Pakistani Muslim League. And the Pakistani Muslim League isn't actually that bad, despite being called the Pakistani Muslim League. So you're like, do you want to support the Muslims because they're like conservative, or do you want to support the dildos? And that's kind of like how it works in Turkey.
We should just all convert to Islam, TBH.
Convert to Islam, repent later.
That's always like a thing people have floated. Like we all pretend to convert to Islam, and then we use Islam to justify our edgy beliefs as like a troll.
When you rape a girl or when you have consensual sex with a girl and then she claims you raped her, and then you convert to Islam ironically, and then you rape her and she doesn't say anything because it would be racist.
Well, no, you just say you don't understand what no means. That's what they do in Sweden.
Unfortunately, that didn't work for Roosh. That would have been amazing if he had have gotten away with whatever. So, It's kind of interesting because in Pakistan, the Islamist parties never get very much of the vote. It's in a lot of Muslim countries that like the Islamist parties don't do that well. Let me see what it's. I forget when the last Egyptian election was, because I remember everyone was. Sorry.
That was right after the coup, wasn't it? Or right before the coup.
There was the I don't remember. There's been so many coups and so many. Let's see here. There's currently a Liberal Party in power.
2012, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
2012, Morsi won.
I'm thinking Parliament.
Oh, okay.
Okay, independents have a large majority, whatever that means. For the love of Egypt, an Egyptian front.
Do the elections even matter in Egypt, though?
Who the fuck knows? Let's see what else is happening. There's going to be a Brazilian election coming up. Maybe based Bolsonaro, or however you pronounce his name, will win. I love Jair Bolsonaro. He's such a fucking shitlord. Let's see here.
What party does he belong to?
The Social Christian Party. But he's like an edgy Roman Catholic. So, like, he's...
A lot of the Christian social conservatives in Brazil a lot of them are evangelicals.
Yeah, in Latin America, if you're like an Orthodox right-wing Christian, you're probably an evangelical, because the Catholics in Latin America are kind of shit tier, TBH. They're like all syncretist or fucking commies. It's really sad. Brazil, though, has like the funniest like political system because there's so many parties and their names are so confusing. Let me just find this. I did like a video on this.
They have mandatory voting there, right?
I think so. I don't know. Brazil's fucking weird. Let me see here. So, okay, let's play a little guessing game. So I'm going to name a party, and I want you to tell me if it's left or right wing. Okay, Workers' Party's a given. Brazilian Democratic Movement Party.
Right.
Left wing.
Actually, that's center. My bad. Progressive Party.
Center.
Left wing.
Right wing.
Because
Social Democratic
progressive means a completely progressive means like basically military dictatorship for like it means technocratic military dictatorship, doesn't it?
In Latin America normally.
Yeah.
Okay, the Social Democratic Party.
Left wing.
Right wing.
What?
The Republic Party.
Left wing.
Right wing.
Oh my jeez.
The Brazilian Republican Party.
Left wing.
It's also right wing.
Oh, give me a left wing party, damn it.
Democratic Labor Party.
Left wing.
Yes, that one actually is.
Hooray!
Republican Party of the Social Order.
Repeat that.
Republican Party of the Social Order.
Social order sounds right wing.
Yes, that's right wing. Okay, Communist Party of Brazil is too obvious. Brazilian Social Democratic Party, not to be confused with the Social Democratic Party or the Brazilian Democratic Movement Party.
Left wing?
Yes. Democrats.
Probably center.
Right wing. Brazilian Labor Party.
Left.
Centrist, actually. Brazilian Labor Party, not to be confused with the Democratic Labor Party or the Labor Party of Brazil.
How long
or the
are these guys'
National Labor
ballots?
Party, or the Christian Labor Party, or the Let's just keep going. It's amazing how it
Are the
works.
ballots like 3 pages long?
Yeah. Solidarity.
That's left wing.
Yes. Labor Party of Brazil.
Left wing.
Yes. National Labor Party.
Right wing.
Centrist. National Ecological Party. Okay,
Left
that's
wing.
yeah, Christian left actually. Party of National Mobilization.
That sounds lefty.
Yeah, some of these are like centrist or non-ideological. Christian Labor Party.
Left wing.
Right wing.
Jeez.
Okay, let's see. Brazilian Socialist Party, that's too obvious. Popular Socialist Party, that's too obvious. Humanist Party of Solidarity.
That sounds leftist as fuck.
Right wing.
What? Humanist?
Humanism in Latin America means like center-right Christian.
Really? This is
Social,
bizarre.
okay, Social Liberal Party.
Left wing?
Center-right.
Social liberals.
Progressive Republican Party.
Are these guys right wing too?
Yeah, they're right wing. Free Homeland Party.
That sounds right wing.
Left wing, far left.
Oh man.
Social Christian Party.
Left wing.
No, that's far right actually. Socialism and Liberty Party. Okay, that's too obvious. Christian Social Democrat Party.
Left wing.
Right wing. Brazilian Labor Renewal Party.
That sounds left wing.
Far right.
Wait,
Okay.
Brazilian labor renewal. That sounds what?
Okay,
I
keep
don't
in
get
mind
this.
the Labor Party was a fascist party in Brazil under Vargas. Let's see here. Workers' Cause Party. Okay, that's far left. So that was the coalitions. That was the parties and main political parties in Brazil. There is. Let me just go through some of them. There's the Progressive Party. Let me just go through these. It's amazing. Progressive Republican Party. The Progressive Party. Let's see here. The Christian Progressive Party. Okay, let's see here. Labor. Okay, so we have the Democratic Labor Party, the Brazilian Labor Party, the Labor Party of Brazil. They literally have the Brazilian Labor Party and the Labor Party of Brazil. Then the National Labor Party, then the Christian Labor Party, then the Brazilian Labor Renewal Party.
It's the People's Front of Judea. No, it's the Judean People's Front.
It's okay. Let's see how many social democratic parties they have. Social Democratic Party, Republican Party of the Social Order, Brazilian Social Democratic Party. Let's see here. Social Christian Social Democratic Party. It's like the fucking, which is Brazilian National Socialist Workers Party. That was the Integralist Party. It doesn't exist anymore. It was destroyed a long time ago. National Integral Action. Brazilian fascism was interesting because it was multiracial. It was one of the few multiracial ones. I think it kind of had to be, to be perfectly honest, just because of the way Brazil was. But it, let's see here.
Are any of those parties separatist parties?
I don't think so.
Isn't there a
Integralism is
southern
weird.
separatist movement that's like the ethno state for white Brazilians?
Mm-hmm. Integralism was like clerical fascism, basically. Yeah, it was basically just Brazilian clerical fascism. It was just very different because Brazil's a very different country than a lot of different countries in the world. Integralism. I like the name Integralism. They were the blue shirts.
I like how they've only been in democracy since 1985 too.
So this is how fucking LARPy they were. They would give each other the Roman salute and use the 2P word for "you are my brother." Primarily from Portuguese, Italian, and German immigrants.
Makes sense.
Fucking woke.
Estado Nova. It's funny how the Brazilian flag says "order in progress" on it, when the country has neither. Vargas. I don't know how the modern Brazilians feel about Vargas. That would be interesting. Yeah, Latin America has really fucking weird. I call it the graveyard of Western political ideas, because like shit endures there longer than in a lot of other countries. Like fascism still exists there, and like hardcore communism and all this other stuff. What's interesting is the main
What
right-wing
countries
party.
have fascist parties in Latin America?
Sorry?
Which countries have fascist parties in that?
Do you consider Peronism to be fascism?
Okay, yeah.
Let's see. It depends how you consider the Christian Democrats in Chile. They're weird because they're a socially conservative socialist party. That used to be the Falange party. And then you have the successor to Pinochet's party. I mean, you had Pinochet, you had Fujimori, you had a bunch of different people. It's funny how with
Pinochet's grandson is running for running a new party, eh?
Fujimori?
No. Pinochet's grandson, he's found a new party in Chile.
Uh-huh. Fujimori's party is Fujimori's daughter keeps running for president. It's
Fujimori
funny.
was the one who fought against the Golden Dawn, right? Not Golden Dawn, Shining Path.
Yeah. He was a like far right Japanese Hispanic who was the head of Peru. Apparently, when I was reading about it, some people thought if he was elected, Peru would become a colony of Japan, and they voted for him for that reason. Like, I'm not even joking. Okay, the majority of seats in Peruvian parliament is led by a far right party, headed by Keiko Fujimori. Latin America is fucking hilarious. It's just so weird. But yeah, I think that's all I really want to talk about today. I just like to thank everybody for coming on, and I'll probably do a live stream tomorrow, regardless of what the results were, just about what it's going to look like in the runoff election. So have a good day, everybody.